I can't believe I'm doing this. Anyway, I need soda. I'll be right back. If I'm going to be here for a while doing a band scan, I'm going to need some sugar. So pardon me. If the phone drops, I'm sorry. I'll be back in a minute. All right. Got it. Back. With this fucking phone setup, which is bullshit. There's no easy way to do this. I don't know how these motherfuckers get Twitch to work. I mean, I can't even... How do 8-year-old kids get Twitch to work and I can't? And I'm a freaking professional. Anyway, this is Radio Clube de Para from Brazil. Decent signal. Let's see if I can optimize this audio. Wow, the homebrew loop actually does pretty good here. I'm going through my MFJ 1886 or whatever right now. It's a great antenna. You can use it indoors. I'm able to pull this shit from indoors. I got a big antenna out back, several antennas. I've got at least a half a mile of copper strung out in different configurations.
don't know. I'm not going to say.
Good, because I'm going to move on. Anyway, that was Brazil. Here's some Cuba. Actually, that's a Radio Marti. Radio Marti is a wing of Voice of America broadcasting to Cuba. And you can see here where this is the visual aspect of the signal, and the audio is just shitty. It's getting jammed by Cuba. Because we beam our shit there, and Cuba doesn't want to hear any American stuff. I mean, like American viewpoints. So I get it. Happens all the time in this radio world. You know, North Korea jams South Korea, and South Korea jams them right back. And China jams too. They just jam with big signals from their regular show. What's this guy? The weather reports from, let's see, Shannon, Ireland. If I can't make a nominal difference in listening pleasure, I'll just change the frequency, unless it's like an emergency. Or like something weird that I don't know what it is, I'll just camp on it for hours trying to figure out what it is. There's a weird digital signal. Here we go. Religious broadcaster. A little bit too hard to hear. Let's find out who it is. 5875. Oops. "5875" belongs to the BBC. Weird. From Ascension Island, which is this little island between South America and Africa, right dead nuts in the middle of the ocean. I haven't been BBC in a long time. I'm usually listening to other things, like cool music from Cuba and shit like that, or Brazil. Anyway. $59.60. Who could that be? Let's see. $59.60 is either Dandal Kura Radio or the Chinese radio. What's Dandal Kura? They're coming from Ascension Island too, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was them. If conditions are like that from that other station, this is roughly the same, so maybe it's the same thing. So, Dandal Kura Radio is what? International, Dandal Kura Radio. They broadcast in Kanuri. How's it? Africa, maybe? African, South Africa? Nigeria. Let's see. Let me continue to think about this for a minute. Earlier, as Voice of Turkey was on, and in a different zone than they normally in a different time zone than they normally advertise. That was like 2 or 3 hours ago. But we'll know for sure if this station shuts down in 46 minutes. We'll know if it's coming from Nigeria. There's a heck of a hum in that signal, so I wouldn't be surprised if it actually was some horribly maintained thing. Anyways, it's not coming from Nigeria. Nigeria brokers time on these broadcast sites, and this place is on Ascension Island in the middle of the Atlantic, of the South Atlantic Ocean. I had to look at my map. It's 250,000 watts. Actually, here it is right here. 8,000 kilometers away. See, we're here near DC, and here's Ascension Island. Uh-oh. This fucking ghetto fucking thing is a real drag. They don't make it easy to do these things. I don't understand how 8-year-old kids can do this with no fucking problem, man. And I sit here and I can't even keep this phone still. It sucks. And Ganjul Kura Radio International, Chad, Nigeria. So the broadcasts are recorded in Nigeria, but they're broadcast on those shortwave broker stations. That one is in the middle of Ascension Island, in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean. It's 15985. Let's see what's going on there. $5985. Come on now. I was right. China Radio International Broadcasting in Arabic. Excuse me. 7,000 clicks away. Well, it sounds fun. What's 5975? I usually record these for my friend Mustafa. This is what the fuck? That doesn't sound like Vietnamese to me. That's not making much sense, man. I use different references. I have a book too, but we'll see. Who the heck is that? I don't know.
To alhamdulillah kamar yadda jama'a ta sani yau 18 ga watan 11 shekara ta 2018 ne doka ta ba da dama da jam'iyyun da suka tsaye da 'yan takarar mukamin shugaban kasa da na majalisun tarayya da su fara fita.
I don't know who that is. Let's check the book, World Radio and Television Handbook, because 2 of my references have been incorrect. I think it's Radio Saudi. We could tell for sure in 21 minutes at the top of the hour when they give their station ID. Unless we get lucky and they give it sooner. Let's check in the book. The book. This book you need to get. The World Radio Television Handbook. Look at this bad boy. Chock full of thousands of pages of recs. $30, man, but worth every fucking penny. 5975. I make notes in the margins so I can remember what I got. Okay, referencing 5975. I don't know, I got China Radio, Adventist World Radio, BBC World Service in German, New Zealand, Radio New Zealand Pacific. I don't know any of these. I don't know this language. It really pisses me off because I'm usually pretty good at that shit. I'm having an off day. Moving along. It's 6005. Let's make this smaller because it's pissing me off, man. Because I can't get past the border to get. What was that again? Oh, 6005. That's a weird number to be on a frequency, so let's see. Maybe it's something weird. BBC English again. Ascension Island in the middle of the South Pacific. This is what's called the Gray Line. And there's a weird scientific phenomenon that says if you happen to be in this little loop right here, it's a really weird scientific phenomenon that if you're along this route anywhere, if you transmit here, there's a weird scientific phenomenon that will take your signal and optimize it for this path. It's like on the side of the sun. The sun is right here in this area here. And because the sun heats up the atmosphere and causes the ionosphere to do different things, this radio signals bounce up and down or get refracted or absorbed depending on what's happening. So this gray line is called a gray line. The sun is stimulating the electrons in the atmosphere along this area here. As the sun peaks up across the horizon and hits these at an angle, it causes the radio waves to bounce up and reflect down. And also it creates like a duct, and radio signals will flow along this duct. It's really a crazy phenomenon, but every day I chase it, and it looks like from here I can pick up tons of crap here. When the gray line comes around to my area, I mean, Brazil just lights up the board, man. It's crazy reception I can get here. Anyway, where were we? Who gives a shit? Anyway. 6040. In French. Piece of cake, man. Mongolian, Burmese. I thought this would be easy. Oh, here's what's going on. It's kind of late in the year, so a lot of stations are adding frequencies and time schedules and modifying their schedules and not telling everybody yet. They have to report that shit to the International Telecommunications Union so they can coordinate it all, so everybody knows so the world's communications experts know who's communicating to who, from where, so they can have some kind of oversight on the airwaves to prevent some kind of disaster in the time of disaster. Because I don't know anyway. But when we're talking about federal governments and using the airwaves, there was a series of international agreements that they have agreed to abide by, that they won't interfere with one another, with jamming and shit. That just goes out the window. But they will not purposefully broadcast in order to interfere with another nation's voice on the air. So spacings are very, very deliberately done, and the International Telecommunications Union kind of really wants to get everybody involved and say, publish your schedules so we don't have any kind of conflicts, and so we know if we can publish the schedules and you want people to hear you, you get that schedule out there and people can efficiently and properly tune to your stations when you have a decent schedule. But it's late in the year and the schedules probably haven't been gotten out yet. This comes out once a year, the WRTH, and it's pretty correct. You know, a lot of people nitpick the shit out of this book, but for the most part, it's correct. And I go by the book, this book here. There's a lot of websites too, but you know how the web is. Them shit poor maintained, and dudes give up on that stuff if no one goes to it. I know I've got at least a dozen websites out there that I've started that no one gives a shit about. I just let it sit out there and languish. You know, why am I going to even spend the time taking it apart? I spent more time worrying about people going to it and no one ever goes to it. So what the fuck? So I just let it sit there and languish. I got a bunch of sites out there. So uh, anyway, so there's a lot of conflict and schedules out there. It takes, and hobbyists like me who are really into this shit, I write this stuff down. So I know if I want to hear something at a certain time, I hit the logbook and go, yeah, I heard them last week at this time, and I'm sitting here doing nothing. And I can just go look at my schedule that I created last week of what I heard and look and see if any good strong stations were around or anything interesting happens and see if I can catch them again. And it's because of people like me, you know, you can sometimes have decent schedules put together, but a lot of these mainstream websites have screwy schedules, and no one knows who's what now. I can't find who the station is. I think it's Havana, Cuba. We could find out in 14 minutes at the top of the hour, but I'm going to try to look in the book anyway. On peut être optimiste pour la CAN. Diamétro au niveau de nuit, chez Baudin, les Bafana Bafana, qui ont cherché leur 60-40 lors de la dernière journée des éliminatoires. Lundi, impitoyable face aux Seychelles, 8-1. En revanche, le Bénin a raté une belle opportunité. 6040, I got Radio Africa. Korea should be on later. All India Radio. Voice of Freedom, South Korea, clandestine broadcast. Radio Universidad, Voice of America, Belgium. Furusato no Kaze, it's another Korean clandestine. I have nothing in French though. The closest thing I got is 100,000 watts. Africa World Radio. That's about the best I got. But I don't know who this is. And it really is. Pisses me off. Let's hang out here while I try to ID this guy. Et puis chez les dames, la finale de la CAN a débuté au Ghana.